Hello, everyone. It's Paul again, back here with another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. I hope your year is going well. We are officially 6 months into 2022. Feels surreal. Time is flying. Thanks for sticking with us for the past 6 months. I'm joined by a very special guest today. His initials, AA, like a battery, because he's always running. My guest is Austin Allbritton. How are you, Austin?
Hey, good. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining me on a weekend. I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
You got any 4th of July plans, man?
I have a friend who's doing a little lakefront 4th of July party on Sunday tomorrow. So doing that. Other than that, just working.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
The grind never stops, right?
Yep. It doesn't. I feel a little guilty actually for going to that party instead of the couple hours I could be out there in the field.
Yeah.
But
I was just talking to Brett last week, and we were talking a little bit about how vacation simply is not a reality for many real estate agents.
oh no. You're behind anytime you step away. So it's rough.
Even if you find the time, your phone doesn't stop ringing. So.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Austin, thanks for joining me, man. Let's start off by talking a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate, and how you got to where you are today, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I'm kind of a weird story. I'm actually a Tampa native, 7th generation Floridian, which is rare to hear that.
It's a lot of generations.
Yeah, and we're still not fully acclimated to the heat, humidity here. But so I grew up in the Tampa Bay area. I'm well familiar with the whole area and everything that's happened. Crazy expansion, development. I went to Eastlake High School, just southwest of here, and I went to the University of Florida, where I studied video production and business administration. So I'm well familiar with this world, the production world. It's kind of a weird story. In high school, I was a much better student than when I was in college. So I got ahead. Before all the partying and drinking and socializing, I was a swimmer and, ahead of my class with AP credits. So I walked into college pretty much halfway done. And I didn't want to graduate in 2 years because I loved it so much up there.
Oh,
so
nice.
I just picked up a second major. It was not to really be proud of a double major. It's just because I wanted to stay there and with my friends for another 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I picked up video production because business I felt was a good backbone to have no matter what. I was passionate about that. I was passionate about entrepreneurship and things happening in the tech world. Let's see, this was 2009, 2010. We started to see rumblings of a recession happening, and I was like, oh God, I need to diversify and, not fully count on there being a business job,
Right.
especially a management job for me when I graduated. So I picked up video production because I was passionate about that. I joined several clubs around video production, film clubs, and things like that. And I fully intended to graduate and move into the video production world, which is what I did for about 4 years after college, after graduating. So I was a independent contractor, basically heading up my own one-person video production company. I did that in college for various small businesses and Greek organizations at UF. Created promotional video for them, marketing type videos and little like website backgrounds. That was the big thing back then with the video and the, having a video background was a big deal in 2012. Cutting edge stuff. So I did a lot of that in college. Afterwards, I did a lot of, more marketing style videos for companies that I was connected with. and also promotional videos for live concerts and music events, which I
Nice.
was really passionate about. That was awesome because,
Sounds like a cool gig.
yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It gives you backstage access to, green rooms and things like that, and get to live a little bit of the life of, the rock star coming to your town, right? So that was really cool. I got picked up by a tech company out in Silicon Valley called Tilt, which was a crowdfunding platform similar to Kickstarter, but for like live music events, right?
Nice.
So they actually flew me out to several colleges throughout the U.S. Over the course of like 2-3 years, where I would record video, fly out with all my production equipment, and basically create social media content for whatever events that they were promoting at the time. So that was a great experience. But after that, my business kind of dwindled. I was at an inflection point where I felt like it was either going to bust or it was going to boom.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it just didn't really go anywhere past that. It kind of devolved into a hobby, like a paid hobby for me. And then at this point, it's something that I still know how to do, but it's more of just like a hobby that I enjoy. And I am ashamed to say it's been a while since I picked up my DSLR. There have been major strides in the production world since I last picked up a camera. But anyway, so we kind of reviewed your questions beforehand. I was going to preface this by starting to answer a question that you haven't even asked yet, which is one of my strengths is like just being adaptable. So I'm not fully ready to say I'm going to walk away from that world altogether.
Yeah.
It'll still be a passion of mine, probably till the day I die. But I adapted and I fell back on my business experience to kind of pivot and figure out, okay, I like to do marketing. I was good at creating a picture that was attractive to people, to get people interested in whatever I was hawking, right?
Yeah.
So marketing was a kind of a logical next step for using my business experience or my knowledge. I didn't have much experience at the time, but so I kind of launched into social media and digital marketing. I learned graphic design, not easy stuff. That is a tough industry to break into.
Oh yeah.
By the way, for all my creatives out there, any industry that looks sexy from the outside, you're going to be up against a lot of people that are willing to do it for less than you, who are more experienced than you are. So just rising above the crowd of, hey, this is something I'd like to do. Maybe I can find a job doing it. Yes, I mean, I'm all for doing free work, doing work on spec, hoping that somebody will buy it from you at some point. And I obviously value the value of an internship, but rising above every other hobbyist willing to do it for free is difficult.
For sure.
Right? So anyway, major sidebar. So digital marketing was my next step. I did some of that. Still did some video production, content, graphic design, things like that. And let's see. I just kind of became a media
Guru.
Right. Kind of what you are, right? Except that wasn't as good. I was earlier in my career too, so I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But at some point, I kind of just realized that I was good at talking with people, and I could probably be a lot more successful doing that, or pivoting again to a role where I could influence people, talk to people, and be an advisor type role.
Yeah.
Than to continue struggling in the social media world or digital marketing. I knew that there was a there are people that are making it. Obviously, there are people that are crushing it in digital marketing, but I knew it was such a long road to get there, and it was fraught with obstacles, and there's no guarantee that you'll even get there. So, so basically, I tried out for a sales role with a local IT company that is killing it, and they liked me. So they gave me a chance, and I did well. Ultimately, I discovered that it wasn't the right fit for me. Not the company itself, but the sales division of the company wasn't really aligned with the way that I wanted to do things.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend's mom, as a matter of fact, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, heard me on the phone during a sales call, and she said, "Wow, he'd be a really great agent.
Yeah.
How do I get him in front of the right people to maybe get this ball rolling?" Because she knew I wasn't really happy in my previous role, so she introduced me to Joe, and I came in, and the interview process was very brief.
Yeah.
He just talked to me for like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, and he was like, "Okay, you're hired." He didn't even say that. He was just like, "When do you start? When can you start?" So I started as an ISA, and here at 54 Realty, we call them agent partners. Basically, it's a kind of a sales development back office type role, where you're an internal sales assistant. You're the spearhead of when a customer engages in real estate at this brokerage, the AP is the first person that you speak to.
Yeah.
The role has kind of morphed over time, as it should, right? But back when I started, it was sort of like we did more discovery than I think Zillow kind of wanted us to. And so we kind of took a step back from that. But it's changed over time. But I really liked the just talking to people. I liked the fact that you don't have to explain to anybody what real estate is. I've had sales roles where it's an uphill battle. I mean, they may not even know what you're selling or why or even the category of what you're selling,
Sure.
right? And to educate the customer or client on what you're trying to sell to them can be such an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Right? With real estate, not the case at all, obviously. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody needs housing, whether they're renting or buying. So I liked that. I liked the fact that I was talking with just normal people who were very easy for the most part to work with. I've had some cases where that's not the case. But I just found it kind of a natural fit. And so I continued working that role and studied for my real estate license. I joined with the intention of always becoming an agent at some point. Excuse me. My days were kind of numbered as an AP, so to speak. I find it took me a while to take the course while working. But finally got it done, and I think it was in March this year. I finally got the certificate and got licensed, and been training, onboarding, learning, and working all at the same time.
Woo!
So here I am today on a podcast, my very first podcast. It's been an exciting and weird journey.
It sounds like it, man. Yeah, you had a lot of different paths that you followed. I thought of a couple different things there as you were going through your career. The first thing I wanted to ask you about your role as a video production specialist. I'm not sure how you would classify it, but you mentioned you did a lot of traveling and you were kind of a one-man show a lot of the time. You and I were kind of just talking earlier about how difficult it is to be a one-man show. Do you think that in any way prepared you for your current role? Because I know as a realtor, yes, depending on where you are, you have a support team, you have mentors, yada, yada. but a lot of the times you're out on your own in the field. Do you think your experience in any way has prepared you for that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I'm not flying as much
Right.
these days, but certainly walking into a lot of situations where nobody knows you. They're like, they see you as an outsider, and you have to quickly make friends and allies to get your job done.
Certainly.
Certainly developed that skill and helped, sharpen that axe. I'll say that, just, and also keeping yourself on track is a big thing.
Yeah.
We're independent contractors as agents. So unless you're really bad and your broker steps in and says, look, son, you need to do something different. We're holding ourselves accountable, right? So the same kind of deal on a one-man video production outfit, so to speak. You have to make sure that you're spending your time wisely and you're not goofing off. Otherwise, the job won't get done, or you'll show up late and miss something, which I've also done, unfortunately.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's good to hear, man. I've been working with a video production company lately, and seeing the amount of preparation and skill that goes into it, I have a newfound respect for you. Learning that you were a one-man show at one point.
Yeah, man. I didn't even own everything that I used, obviously. So even like with arranging rental deliveries to the right place at the right time, and I was also arranging all my own travel. Company didn't have like a travel person. So they just reimbursed my expenses and left it up to me. They said, hey, don't go for anything super expensive. Try to keep it under X amount. But I was doing all my own stuff with that. So arranging all my own travel arrangements and video production gear, just a lot of prep, a lot of meetings, a lot of talking about, a lot of fielding feedback from people who aren't video people. Saying, well, we really like that, but we kind of wanted to go in this direction. I'm like, what do you know? You don't know anything about video.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Right.
The golden phrase. Well, that's cool, man. I still have 2 follow-up questions there. So this might be a silly question, but I'm genuinely curious. You mentioned the fun side of the video production world, getting to go backstage at concerts and festivals and that sort of thing. And it just sounds like something you're genuinely passionate about. So I'm wondering, and I know you're still kind of in the early stages of it, but so far, how does real estate stack up to that? Do you find that you have these opportunities for moments where you feel like, wow, this is a badass career? Or are we still getting there kind of?
It's not as cool. But I'm able to have a lot better of a personal lifestyle.
Certainly.
So it's a trade-off. It does feel good to finally get to the finish line and hand over the keys.
Yeah.
And that really is, if there's any sense of implicit reward to this career, it's handing over the keys and putting somebody in a house that they love. That's one of the things I was actually talking with Joe recently about, that the kind of weekly grind of being in this industry, it's hard to point to. So like, I'll give you an example. With video production, or say I were manufacturing some widget, you can look at that widget and be like, okay, I'm proud of the thing that I made once it's done, regardless of how much you sold it for, right? With real estate, unless you go to closing, it's hard to quantify exactly what, the manifestation of what you've done for the week, and feel proud about it. And that's one of the things I'm working on right now, is shifting my mindset to be less about outcomes, like stats about closing or production, things like that, and shifting it to, okay, did I do a job well done this week? Is it something that I can be proud of, and so that I can take time off and be fully relaxed and blow off steam like I should, like I need to, in order to be sustainable in this career. So that's one of the things I'm working on as a new agent, is shifting my mindset about what I'm doing on a weekly basis.
I think that's work. Yeah, that's a good outlook to have, man. It's about the journey, as they say. Cliche, but it turns out to be true in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah.
And you made me think of anyone who really listens to this knows that I'm like a broken record, because I repeat things that have come up in previous episodes. But a lot of other agents have brought up the idea that this career can be incredibly rewarding, whether it be, financially or otherwise, like you were saying about handing over the keys. That's awesome, right? You made someone's dream come true. Sounds like a Disney thing, but hey, that's what it is. But to get to those moments, it's an accumulation of a long period of hard work. And Joe actually did an interview with Jay Pitts, who's a broker. I don't know what state he's in. I'm sorry, Jay. But Jay said something along the lines of, it's like planting a seed, right? And you're not going to see probably the benefits of that seed for weeks, months, years, perhaps.
Right.
But when you do, it's quite rewarding. So I think your outlook is certainly going to help you out in the long run, man. It's an uphill battle for sure, like you said, but yeah. I'm glad that you're shifting that a little bit.
Yeah. Trying to.
Yeah.
I think part of it too comes from just switching my career so many times. I mean, I'm sort of measuring it by something that you can't measure it in the same way as if you were producing a really great cut for a video, and see exactly what all that hard work paid off. But I'm getting there.
Good to hear, man. Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about, because on a previous episode we had Emily Haight, who had a similar journey to yours, where she was an agent partner and then she transitioned into being an agent. And we talked a little bit about how the agent partner role kind of prepared her for being an agent. I'm curious to hear your perspective on that. Have you taken anything that you did in your agent partner days and kind of applied it to your agent role?
Yeah. So I started as an AP with virtually no knowledge about real estate. If I started as an agent in that same place, I would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because everybody who's a realtor knows the license and the course required for the license doesn't really prepare you for the real job.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a very low bar to set. And there's so much external knowledge that you need to bring to be able to do a good job with a client. So I'll say that it definitely provided a lot of that background knowledge about real estate. It enabled me to ask stupid questions of other agents while I was here. And it also prepared me for, two things actually. Our CRM and just how our back office processes work. I got a big preview into that. So I'm very comfortable with the software and the systems that we use. And then also just speaking to people, getting practice, speaking to people the way that our brokerage wants, us to, address clients, training, that sort of thing. And then also just dealing with people who are difficult, and they're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. So all of the above definitely helped. I would not be, I wouldn't be half the agent that I am right now unless I went through that process as an AP. I think that I would eventually get there, but it'd be a longer road.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you invested a lot of time, man. Do you think it helped you prepare for rejection in any way? Because I know there's a lot of, not necessarily cold calling, but something similar to cold calling as an agent partner.
Yeah, for sure. The AP role definitely did that. I will say that my previous sales role also did that.
Fair.
that last role was almost entirely cold calling. So I'm definitely hardened against rejection and that sort of thing. Luckily, they call through to us, and there's enough people that are truly interested that it doesn't bother me anymore when somebody doesn't call me back or text me back or whatever. It just means they're not ready yet, and I don't care.
Yeah, on to the next, right?
I mean, that's the mentality I choose to take because they're just not ready yet. I'm certain, well, I'm pretty certain that it doesn't have anything to do with me or what I said or did, unless I really screwed up. Then it's an opportunity to turn inward and figure out how I'm gonna do better next time. But if they reject you, in most cases, they don't reach back out to you.
Yeah.
If you are trying to follow up with them properly, like you should, and they are not responding to you, that just means that they're not ready.
Yeah.
So, I think it's definitely prepared me for rejection.
Well, that's a fair assessment, man. You can't really take that stuff personally, and I'm sure there are plenty of fish out there that you can cast your line out to.
Oh yeah, sounds like dating, by the way.
Yeah, it really does.
I've heard that parallel many times. That parallel's been made. The sales and dating sort of thing.
Hey, they prepare you for one another in turn, I suppose.
Right.
Austin, you touched on earlier your biggest strength, which is adaptability, which if I were to make a pie chart of the answers that I get to the question when I ask people their biggest strength in this role, that would definitely take up a big chunk of it, which is great because I think that is crucial. Not only is the industry ever changing, the role is ever changing. You do different stuff day to day, I'm sure. On the flip side of that coin, everybody has obstacles, weaknesses, however you want to slice it. I'm wondering what yours is and if it's something that you're still kind of dealing with or if it's something that you've already gotten over as you're going through this career.
Yeah, so the flip side of being adaptable is that sometimes if you're like me, you don't give full effort long enough to see the results. You expect things to happen right away.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then you start thinking of, okay, what are other things that I could be doing that might be better use of my time? And so that is definitely something that I am struggling with right now. Well, not struggling, but I'm working on it.
Sure.
Right. I know that it's not going to happen right away, and I shouldn't expect it to because I'm planting a lot of seeds right now, and I have been. And I'm starting to see, the fruits of that labor. Just keeping your head down and focused is sort of the flip side, the challenge of being adaptable and creative. You're looking for a way around the problem where really the best route is straight through it. So that's something that my mentors are definitely helping me with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of mentors, you're in the Allison Bresciani boot camp.
I am,
as it were.
I'm in the last week of I'm in Hell Week, my last boot camp or week of boot camp.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. How do you think that has impacted your trajectory so far?
Oh, it's been awesome. I think that if Allison weren't there to teach us all this stuff, we would be calling our team leaders constantly, and they're not team leaders anymore. What are they called?
Agent advisors, I want to say. Something
maybe.
like that.
I'm still working
I'll put it
on
up,
that.
on the screen or something.
Fix that in post. We'd be calling them constantly, and they'd be pissed off because they're in the field. They're trying to make it just like we are.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm very thankful for Allison and as well as Debbie Bruner, who's another great mentor for me, and just other agents also that I seek mentorship with. the training from day one, it's like drinking from a water hose or fire hose. It's a lot of information, stuff that was not reviewed in the license course whatsoever. But nonetheless, stuff that you need to know to close a deal.
Yeah.
So, and do this job. It's helped tremendously. And I'm looking forward to continued trainings here. Definitely one of the reasons why I'm here and not at some other brokerage.
Yeah.
That kind of just sets you on your own to figure it out. I don't know how agents who don't have that kind of support get started.
Truly.
In today's world, because it's, from everybody that I've spoken to in this industry, it's a lot more complicated today than it was, 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm very thankful for the support that we have here.
Well, it's good to hear, man. I'm sure you're on the right path. I'm excited to see how things turn out for you. If you hadn't chosen real estate as your career, perhaps, we definitely did a deep dive into your video or videography background, rather. So I'm wondering, if you could choose an alternative career, would it be the video production world, or is there something else that you've perhaps imagined?
So when I was young, I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force, and
Right on.
I quickly realized that my vision was well past acceptable limits, even pre-LASIK. There's like a pre-corrected or uncorrected vision can't be worse than X, and I'm well past that. So that was kind of out the door. But I don't know. I think a lot of these skills are translatable. Probably some kind of sales role.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thing is, I can't sell something I'm not passionate about. And not just because I feel like a sellout. It's just I can't muster up the enthusiasm about something I don't care about.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that would look like, but selling something I'm passionate about.
I relate to that a little bit, man. Although I'm not selling anything, I couldn't have this discussion with you if I didn't at least care a little bit about what we were talking about.
Right,
so
right.
That definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Man, we kind of blew through the questions here, Austin. You've definitely given me a good glimpse into who you are. I know we've worked together for some time, but I never really knew all this about you. So it's been cool to hear, man.
It's kind of like I'm interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
So to speak. Am I hired?
I say that all the time to people,
Okay.
man. Some of these questions, like, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness?
Yeah.
It does feel that way, certainly. But I think it's good, man, for people to get to know you. And it's nice having agents from like all different stages in their career on here and to hear those perspectives. So thanks again, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I have one last question for you, my friend.
Okay.
If you could give advice to agents who are new out there, or even agents who are just struggling with where they're at in their career, what would your advice be to them?
Ask questions, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you need help, ask for help. I mean, it's so stupid, but I hear about people just struggling and not seeking the help that they need.
Sure.
And unfortunately, if you haven't figured this out yet as an adult, other people aren't always going to figure out that you're struggling until you say something, right? So I would just encourage people to reach out, find mentors, ask questions, and just continually work on being a better version of you in that role. I think that the best people in our, on our team started as novices, and they just grew tremendously through asking questions, through experience, and taking advantage of this support system that we have here. So I would just encourage people to ask more questions and ask for help.
I think that's great advice, man. That was one of the things I learned early on in my professional career. In fact, my first, if you could say, real job. There was a lot to learn, a lot of different things that you had to be knowledgeable about that I obviously wasn't when I started. And I quickly realized that I can pretend to know what I'm talking about, or I can pretend to know what I'm doing, but it will not end up well for me or the people that I'm assisting. Therefore, quit being embarrassed and just ask for help. There's no
Right.
shame in it, and that's how you get better.
I will say caveat to that is also there is an element of truth to fake it till you make it.
That's true as well.
So that's true also. Most of that applies to just your attitude and swagger.
Yeah, confidence, man.
When it comes down to like the nitty gritty details, ask for help.
Truly.
Like, don't pretend like you know something that you don't.
Especially if you're dealing with contracts.
Yes.
Word of advice.
Yep.
Well, Austin, that's great advice, man. I appreciate you coming on once again, sir. It is a Saturday, so
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Shout out to you, my friend. Before we wrap it up, is there anything you want to promote, social media, or maybe your favorite movie? I don't know.
No, I haven't really seen any good movies lately, actually.
Sad.
That's sad. It's all streaming now.
Yeah.
What is my Facebook? I think it's facebook.com/austin.allbritton, I think. I don't have a realtor specific Instagram yet, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to start promoting heavy on Facebook video. Video is something that not a lot of agents are, well, it's starting to pick up, but
Yeah.
Agents need to get in front of that camera.
Dude.
And I am hesitant to do it as well, but this is kind of my first foray into being in front of the camera instead of being behind it. So how'd I do? All right.
Pretty fantastic, man. I'm not gonna lie. I really appreciate it. You definitely gave me a lot of good stuff here, man.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, go follow Austin Allbritton. You know you love him. If you just listen to this, how could you not? Thanks for listening once again. We will see you next week, guys. Until then, make sure you are tapped in on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which I always forget, at The Real Estate Playbook. Hey, man. And the website is therealestateplaybook.com. If you want to be on the show, fill out the form there, for God's sakes. What else is there? If you're listening on Spotify, click the little heart. If you're on YouTube, click the little subscribe. Leave a comment. It never hurts. We love you. We'll see you next week. Oh, happy 4th of July.
Happy July 4th.